In this video, let me show you how we make 7 figures a year flipping real estate. And it all comes down to how we analyze the property. Now, there are spreadsheets out there, but I wanted to just demonstrate real quick. I like to call this a one sheet because you're not always going to have a computer next to you. And sometimes when you're out there, you got to figure out whether or not you're going to buy this thing on the spot, right? Because the name of the game is speed. The first person that can come up with the right numbers and execute and say, hey, I'm going to buy the property is the one who ultimately wins. So let's go into it. If you stick to this one strategy, this one page analyzer, okay, you will be able to find properties much faster and identify whether or not you're going to buy them or not. So let's do a real life example. This is a property that we looked at this week. It was in Walnut Creek, okay? Great location. I love Walnut Creek. Very affluent, very safe. People love the neighborhood because it has good schools. So for this particular property, the purchase price, right, I'm going to put PP, was $1,081,000. Okay? That's important to know. What is it going to cost us to buy the property? The next thing you want to figure out is what is the ARV, the after repair value. After you repaired the property, what will the home be worth? Now, so the ARV we determined was $1.4 million. Woo! You're looking at this and you're like, holy smokes, that's a pretty good spread. You got $319,000 in room. Okay, but wait, there's more. You got to think about this. The next thing you want to think about is what is the construction cost. Okay? Because obviously, if it was already worth 1.4, no brainer. But it's not. You have to determine what do you have to fix in order to get the 1.4 value. And if you want to learn that, I got a video like that and I'll link it right here. But the thing is, this property needed a new kitchen, $25,000. 2 new bathrooms, $15,000 a pop, that's $55,000. It needed a new roof. It needed some electrical work. It needed new flooring, paint, and landscaping. All in, the construction cost was going to be $100,000. Okay, now that 319 profit margin just got wiped out a little bit because guess what? Now I got to factor that in. Next thing you got to factor in is the closing costs, all right? Now the closing costs, you can do this really fast, nitty gritty, which are county transfer taxes, your real estate commissions that you have to pay. You don't pay real estate commissions typically when you buy the property. You pay it when you list the property as a seller and you sell it. In our area, it's about 5%. If you get good at negotiating, you can get it sometimes in the 4.5. But for this sake, let's say 5%. Closing costs, right? You want to factor in another percent. Again, this is nitty gritty. You're on the fly. You got to be able to answer this really quickly. So we're going to say it's 6%, right, of the ARV. So if you do 6% of the ARV, okay, off the bat, it's already $84,000 in closing costs. All right? So now you're like, wait, is that it? There's still money to be made. Not so fast, Kimosabi. All right? Unless you have about $1.2 million cash sitting around, most likely you don't. I don't typically have that much cash laying around. So I have to go use somebody called a hard money lender. Now, what is a hard money lender going to need? Okay? Hard money lender. Hard money fees, all right? This is what you need to consider. My hard money lenders will loan me 90% loan to value, which means that if the property is about $1,081,000, they'll give me $900,000 so that I can pay the seller. I still have to come up with about $100,000, $181,000. Plus, I got to come up with another $100,000 for the construction cost. But wait, there's more. Now you have to figure out every month how are you going to pay back the hard money lender. So hard money fees, they're going to charge you 1% of the loan amount. So if you borrow 90%, right, I'm going to come over here, 90% of $1,081,000, it's going to be roughly about $9,800, $980,000 or so. 900, just say 900. Just going to keep the math simple, okay? 1% of 900,000, right? Automatically, you got to pay $9,000 to the hard money guy. Then you got to figure out how much it's going to cost every month. Well, they charge me about 10% interest. So at 900, let's just do 900,000 times 0.10, 90,000 divided by 12, which means every month that I own that property and I'm borrowing money from the hard money lender, it's going to cost me $7,500 a month. Okay? Then you got to add in property tax, because during that time that we owned the property while we were remodeling and getting it ready for sale, you can expect property tax to be about $1,000 a month. Then you got insurance, but let's just say about $1,300 a month, right? So if you add the two up, you're going to be at 0.088. You're at $8,800 a month. And you're like, well, that's $8,800. That's not that bad. I can afford it. Okay? That leads me to the next point, which is how long will this project take? From the day you close on it to the day that you sell it and get paid. We estimated this project was going to take 6 months. 6 months time frame. Okay? Now I got to take 8,800 times 6 months. Okay? 8,800 times 6. I'm talking about $52,800 in holding costs. All right? So let's add up a couple of key factors. This is an expense. Okay? This is an expensive expense. This is a big expense. This is a huge expense. And finally, this, okay? So you're gonna do the math. You bought the property for $1,081,000. You're gonna add $100,000. You're gonna add the $84,000. You're gonna add the $9,000 here. Then you're gonna add in the $52,800. Da 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 da. You ready for this? Your grand total: $1,326,800. Okay. So you take this number, you minus 1.4. Your profit margin is only $73,200. Right? Let's write that down. Let me clean the board a little bit. Okay, let's put it here. Profit, about $74,000. Let me tell you guys why this isn't a deal. And the reason why is because with our standards, we like to shoot for 10% of the ARV. So if the project is going to be $1.4 million ARV, I would like to make 10% of this. So that should be a profit margin of $140,000. Unfortunately, we're about short. So to me, although this is a big number, I would love to make $74,000 any day of the week. But you got to understand with flipping, there's risk. If the market pulls back a little bit, your profit gets wiped out pretty fast, okay? Second thing is, how much time did I spend? If I spent 6 months working on this project, I mean, I'm only making about $11,000 a month, $12,000 a month. That seems good still, but again, not worth all the risk, right? But if it took me 6 months to make $140,000, right, which is originally what we try to shoot for, that's over 20 grand a month, guys. I'm good with that, right? That's like 25,000, 20 something thousand. That's a good living. So this is a one-liner, one-pager. I hope this was helpful for you guys. You know, sometimes I gotta write it big enough for you guys to see, obviously, but I would like to just kind of write it down so when you're out looking at a flip, bring a piece of paper, make sure you hit the couple of key points that I brought up. And if the number doesn't make sense, then you walk away from the deal, right? You don't have to complicate it. People always have big fancy spreadsheets and all this stuff, that works. But if you don't understand the core, right, like the principle, the one pager, all that stuff is just like, you're gonna be handicapped. So let me give you guys this free tip. So based on the numbers today, this doesn't work. So how do you make it work? Well, if I wanna make 140,000, 10% of ARV, right? 10% of 1.4 million is 140,000. Then if I know my profit margin is only 74, I'm short about, let's just say 70,000. So you gotta try to knock off 70,000 from here, right? And that's what we do. We try to knock off from here. Most of the time they say no, right? They get some other sucker that wants to make this, so they end up selling to them. But you make this number down 70 grand, then this becomes a deal. Flipping real estate is a lot of numbers, but it's not complicated. It's not geometry, right? It's just basic, simple addition, math, division, multiplication. I hope this was helpful, guys. If you like more content like this, do me a big favor. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me a follow. But this is the blueprint that we follow for every single property that we buy. And if it doesn't hit that number, we walk away or we try to wholesale it. But that's a different video. Peace out, guys.